Daniel Sports Central, big over USFL game preview and prediction on the 2022 championship matchup between the Birmingham Stallions and the Philadelphia Stars, two of the best teams in the USFL this season. And it all comes down to this: one of these teams will be crowned as the champion of the USFL season, and it's either going to be the Stallions or the Stars. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this match for you today, starting out with your team trends. Stallions beat New Orleans, the Breakers, in the playoff semifinals. 31-17 was the final score there, beaten by a couple of touchdowns. And the Stallions have been the most consistent, the best team you could say in the league this season. They're 10-1 heading into this matchup. Only took one loss, and that was a few weeks back, which was kind of a surprising loss. Kind of came out of nowhere, but I mean, in the end, the Stallions have had an outstanding season, and I mean, they are far and away, at the end of the day, I'd say the best team in this league. But they're facing off against the Stars, who beat the Generals, who could consider to be the 2 seed of the playoffs. Basically, the Stallions are the 1 seed. They played New Orleans, the 4 seed, and the Generals, New Jersey, played the Stars, and the Stars are the 3 seed. They knocked off the Generals 19-14 in their game, and they're 7-4 heading to this matchup. So, I mean, heading to the playoffs, the Generals and the Stallions by far the 2 best records of the league, but the Generals were upset in that matchup, and we got the Stars, a dark horse in the championship game. So, and either way, I mean, it doesn't really matter the regular season anymore. You're in the playoffs, and the winner of this game is the champion of the league. So, that said, games will be on Sunday, July 3rd in Canton, Ohio. So, all the regular season games were in Birmingham, but turns out the playoffs are in Canton. So, kickoff is 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Spread's going Stallions here by 3.5. So Birmingham is favored here by a field goal or so, and your over/under is 44.5. So a moderate scoring matchup is on the line here. And I mean, in my rankings for the playoffs here, we do see the Stallions as number 1. Nothing too crazy. The Stars is number 3, and obviously your 4 eliminated teams that didn't get to the playoffs, as well as the Generals, the number 2 seed who lost to Philadelphia, and the Breakers, New Orleans, who lost to the Birmingham Stallions. Stat comparison for this matchup: Stallions got 23 points a game, 17 points allowed, 187 pass yards a game, 135 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, 173 passing, 95 for rushing. And in comparison to the Stars, 26 points a game, 24 points allowed, 184 passers a game, 103 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, 194 passing, 151 for rushing. So it's pretty clear statistically, Stallions are the better team. They're better defensively, even though they don't put up as many points a game. Still, I mean, on offense, yardage-wise, they're doing better than the Stars. And if you look at the rush defense, Stallions have been definitely better there. And even in the past defense, the secondary, Stallions have been just fine as well. And offensively, I do trust Birmingham and Jamar Smith more than the Stars quarterback, who is Case Cookus, who has definitely been inconsistent at times. So, I mean, in the end, Stallions are definitely the more favorable team. That's the easy team to pick in this matchup, but I mean, the Stars did just win a playoff semifinal game against the Generals, who were considered as certainly one of the best teams in the league. So, I mean, you never know what can happen here. This is a fairly unpredictable league. But looking at your key points for this matchup now, there's no doubt that the Stallions have been consistently the best team in this league. They're 10-1. Jamar Smith, he's played at a high level. I mean, he's definitely the more reliable quarterback in this quarterback matchup. I mean, Case Cookus, he's had a couple of good games. Once in a while, he plays really well, but Jamar Smith has been much more reliable. So I'm definitely more confident with picking the Stallions. And I mean, once again, the Stallions are the favorite in this matchup. There's no doubt. I mean, they're 10-1 playing the Stars, who are 7-4. So there's a record difference. It's just a matter of whether or not you're picking an upset here. If you're going with the dark horse contender, the Stars, or you're going with the favorite, the most consistently dominant team all season in the Stallions. So it's either a safe pick or you're taking a risk here with the Stars. But I mean, the Stallions, they've played a lot of close games, no doubt, but they're 10-1. So they've played a few close games. This team is they've been dominant, but at the same time, they haven't had many massive wins. But they've gotten it done, though. I mean, going 10-1, there's no mistake there. Stallions are a really good team. I mean, the best team in this league for sure, if you ask me. And I mean, 10-1, even though they've played a lot of close games, they've gotten it done in most of those. So I'm not too concerned about them. But the Stars, coming off of a huge win against the Generals, I mean, once again, it's a story of the strong power in the league versus the big dark horse in Philadelphia. And I mean, the Stars coming off of a huge win against the Generals, who are certainly the second best team in the league going into the playoffs, and they're the dark horse team once again in the USFL this season. So it's certainly a very intriguing matchup to finish out your USFL season. I mean, the Stars really haven't been a big standout for the entire season. They've kind of come out of nowhere here. I mean, they've been good. This team has hung around, but they haven't really been that massive standout. I mean, the Stallions have been the big standout. They've been, I mean, when you look at the USFL this season, the Stallions have been certainly the best team, but the Stars, they've been in the background, and they're certainly very able to win this matchup here. But that said, let's get to the prediction here for Stallions and Stars coming up here in USFL championship game. I'm going to be going with the Stallions here. 21-17 is my predicted final score. I do think the Stallions pull this one out in the end. It's going to be more of a lower scoring matchup, I think. I do see us taking the under here. This game going under that 44.5. And I do take Birmingham to cover as well, the 3.5 point spread, which is currently towards them. The spread is definitely very iffy for this matchup, but I do want to take the Stallions here. And I am just much more confident picking Birmingham, who's a team that's been so much more consistent versus Philadelphia. The Stars, of course, being a team that has at times played really well, but at the same time, they've had a few very sloppy games as well, and they've been a bit inconsistent. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below on who you think is going to win the championship. And I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.